Right now, your body is already optimized for a specific kind of athletic performance. You probably have no idea which one it is. Your last 3 meals did not just give you energy, they sent instructions to your cells about what kind of athlete you are training yourself to become. Starting with high carb, the glycogen engine. On July 24, 2025, Tadej Pogačar climbed one of the most brutal mountain stages in Tour de France history. His nutrition team documented everything he ate that day. Mango-flavored carbohydrate gels, energy bars, small sandwiches stuffed into his jersey pockets mid-climb, carbohydrate drink mix dissolved into every water bottle handed up by team staff, and a beetroot risotto waiting at the hotel when he got off the bike. His nutritionist also confirmed what was not on the menu. The brownies loaded with butter and the extra chocolate Pogačar kept requesting and kept being told no. 1,200 grams of carbohydrates, 150 grams of protein, approximately 6,000 calories. During the stage itself, which lasted 5 hours, Pogačar averaged 92 grams of carbohydrates per hour. On the hardest climbing days, he pushes to 120 grams per hour. That is, approximately 500 calories of pure carbohydrate consumed every 60 minutes while racing at 85 to 90% of maximum aerobic capacity. Carbohydrates are not food. They are fuel. When you eat carbohydrates, your body converts them to glucose and stores the excess as glycogen, a fast-release energy compound packed directly into muscle tissue. Think of glycogen as your body's performance battery. Charge it fully, and your muscles have instant access energy for everything from a 5-second sprint to a 5-hour mountain stage. Think of it like this. Your internal battery has a 90-minute timer. Once that clock hits 0, your legs do not care how much willpower you have. The engine just stops. Carb loading before competition resets that timer from a full charge, and research shows it produces a 3% or higher improvement in endurance performance as a result. One note for female athletes. Carbohydrate needs increase during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle. Performance variability across the month is often a fuel problem, not a fitness one. This is you if your events last longer than 60 to 90 minutes. Marathon running, triathlon, road cycling, rowing, cross-country skiing, and you have ever felt your output drop sharply in the final third despite feeling fit. That drop is the timer hitting 0. But what happens when an athlete deliberately starves that battery and trains the body to run on a completely different fuel source instead? Keto, the wrong fuel. In 2014, LeBron James, the most physically dominant basketball player of his generation, went low carbohydrate. Documented in Sports Illustrated, the goal was explicit: shift his body into ketosis, train his metabolism to burn fat as its primary fuel, and use the resulting body composition change as a competitive lever at age 29. He lost significant weight and body fat. Then before the following season, he cycled off it. Your body runs 2 fuel systems in parallel. The fast lane runs on glucose and glycogen. The slow lane runs on fat and ketones. Ketogenic eating shuts down the fast lane by removing its fuel source, forcing the body to rebuild its entire metabolic infrastructure around fat oxidation. On a keto plate, that looks like salmon with avocado, eggs cooked in olive oil, chicken thighs with leafy greens, and nuts. What is missing? Bread, rice, pasta, fruit, anything with sugar. The battery is deliberately left uncharged. Fat is a slow-burning fuel. It produces energy efficiently at low to moderate intensities. Sustained aerobic work, long-duration efforts. At high intensities, a fast break, an explosive defensive play, a 40-yard sprint, the body needs glucose it can access in milliseconds. Fat cannot be converted fast enough. The fast lane is closed. The engine has to downshift. Researchers pulled together 33 studies on keto and athletic performance. VO2 max held up in about half the athletes. In the other half, athletes kept moving, but every mile felt heavier than before. A group of elite endurance athletes on a strict ketogenic diet for 10 weeks saw body composition improve, and time to exhaustion drop by about 2 minutes, with athletes describing high-intensity efforts as feeling structurally different, not just harder. LeBron at 6 feet 9 inches with improved body composition was still LeBron. LeBron trying to drive baseline at full speed on ketones during a playoff game is a different calculation, which is why the diet was a seasonal reset, not a career strategy. Tried keto, noticed your body composition shift, and then hit a ceiling on explosive output? That is not a personal failure. That is exactly what those 33 studies predict. This is you if you are a powerlifter trying to stay inside a weight class, a recreational cyclist looking to shift body composition, or a golfer whose sport never demands a full sprint. This is not you if you play Sunday League soccer and need to sprint for 90 minutes, run a basketball fast break, or throw a punch combination at full speed. Keto shifts your weight, but it cannot touch your blood's thickness. For the secret to making your heart work half as hard for the same speed, we need to look at a 7-time world champion's plate, plant-based, the recovery machine. In September 2017, Lewis Hamilton went plant-based. At that point, he had 4 Formula One world championships. In the years since, 5 more, for a career total of 7, the most in the history of the sport. In a 2021 Men's Health interview, he said, "I recover quicker, I sleep better, my skin cleared up, I have fewer allergies. I've been more consistent than I ever was in the past." A massive 2023 study in the British Journal of Nutrition looked at all the available data on plant-based athletes, and the results were clear. Aerobic performance benefited, strength and power held up when protein intake was matched, and body composition shifted favorably. Researchers also ran a dedicated athlete trial comparing omnivore and plant-based diets head-to-head. No measurable difference in 12-minute run performance when total protein and energy were matched. Plant foods are dense in polyphenols, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds found in lentils, chickpeas, tofu, black beans, berries, and leafy greens. Hard training produces free radicals as a byproduct, inflammatory molecules that accumulate in muscle tissue and slow repair. Think of free radicals as the exhaust fumes of hard training. The faster you clear them, the faster your tissue recovers. The faster your tissue recovers, the sooner you can train at full intensity again. Plant-based diets also reduce blood viscosity, the thickness of blood, and improve arterial flexibility. Thinner blood moves faster. Oxygen reaches working muscle with less cardiac effort. Your heart does less work to deliver the same output. One flag: iron, B12, calcium, vitamin D, and DHA require active management. For female athletes specifically, plant-based iron from vegetables and legumes absorbs less readily than iron from meat, and low iron presents as fatigue, reduced aerobic capacity, and slower recovery, which is the opposite of what this diet is supposed to deliver. This is you if your sport has back-to-back competition days or a long season where recovery speed is the variable that separates athletes. Marathon training blocks, triathlon, road cycling, rugby, basketball. Plant-based diets do not build the engine. They reduce the time the engine spends in the shop. But what if your goal is not peak speed or fat loss? What if your biggest enemy is not the clock, but your own medical staff? That is where the maintenance schedule comes in. Mediterranean, the long game. Between 2006 and 2013, Lionel Messi suffered 11 injuries. In 2014, he brought in Italian nutritionist Giuliano Pozzer, who stripped his diet back to 5 foundations: water, extra virgin olive oil, whole grains, fresh fruit, and fresh vegetables, removing processed food, refined sugar, and refined flour entirely. Pozzer's explanation was direct. Sugar is the worst thing for the muscles. The farther he stays away from sugars, the better. The season following the dietary overhaul: 58 goals, up from 41. He played 11 additional games he would previously have missed through injury. He is still competing at elite level at 38. In practice, a Mediterranean plate looks like grilled salmon with olive oil, a tomato and cucumber salad, whole grain bread, a handful of walnuts, Greek yogurt, and sardines. What Messi gave up: the processed snacks, the fizzy drinks, the refined flour and sugar that had been standard across his career to that point. Researchers pulled together all the available data on Mediterranean eating and athletic performance in 2025 and found improvements in muscle endurance, anaerobic output, vertical jump height, and shuttle run times. But here is the honest number. Only 40% of studies showed a statistically significant performance improvement. That number belongs in this script, because the Mediterranean diet's real strength is not peak performance. It is consistent availability, which shows up consistently: lower oxidative stress, lower systemic inflammation, stronger bones. Sports medicine researchers have proposed it as a natural alternative to anti-inflammatory drugs for managing the soreness and tissue damage that follows hard competition. The same effect you get from an ibuprofen, running quietly in the background of every meal. This is you if you have been competing for years, and the injuries are starting to stack up. Soccer, basketball, American football, tennis, rugby. Any sport where the injury tax compounds across 40 or 50 matches a year. This is particularly you if you are a female athlete. The bone density benefit is especially documented for women, where stress fracture risk is a proven career threat in endurance and high-impact sports. This diet does not make you faster on Saturday. It makes you available the Saturday after that and the one after that. The last 2 diets in this video are not about what you eat. They are about when you eat it and what happens when you eat nothing at all. Time restricted or fasting, the window. Mohamed Salah is one of the most consistent elite performers in the Premier League. Every year, for 30 consecutive days during Ramadan, He eats nothing and drinks nothing from dawn until dusk, a fasting window of approximately 16 to 18 hours per day. He trains. He competes. His goal-scoring output across multiple Ramadan periods at Liverpool has not fallen off a cliff. Researchers tracked elite distance runners through a full Ramadan fasting period and found something nobody expected. Time to exhaustion and maximal running speed actually improved. A separate controlled trial took 16 elite under-23 cyclists, put them on an 8-hour eating window for 4 weeks while training at high volume, and measured everything. Body weight dropped 2%. Fat mass dropped 1.1%. Lean muscle mass, unchanged. VO2 max, unchanged. The cyclists lost fat. They kept their engine. Time-restricted eating does not reduce what you eat. It compresses when you eat it. Inside Salah's eating window, the food looks like any other elite athlete's diet. Eggs, grilled chicken, rice, vegetables, fruit, nuts, protein shakes. Outside that window, nothing. Not a snack, not a drink with calories. The window is the variable, not the food. During the fasting window, insulin levels fall and the body shifts toward fat oxidation. Aerobic output is largely unaffected because the machinery for fat burning stays fully operational. The cost appears at high-intensity explosive work, where the body needs fast carbohydrate it cannot access if the eating window did not reload glycogen before the session. This is you. If you are already lean, your aerobic base is strong, and body composition is the remaining variable, distance running, road cycling, swimming, and football all sit comfortably here. If your sport lives in repeated sprint efforts, basketball, American football, CrossFit sprinting, reposition the eating window closer to training. What eating pattern are you currently running? Drop it in the comments. I want to see which fuel system this community is built on. Every diet so far has been a deliberate system. The final one is what happens when there is no system at all, and why one Olympic champion's food order accidentally became the most misunderstood argument in sports nutrition history. Junk food, the Bolt exception. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Usain Bolt won 3 gold medals and set 3 world records. His diet for the duration of the games, McDonald's chicken nuggets. The internet's conclusion: junk food does not matter. Elite genetics cancel everything. Here is what that story always leaves out. Bolt was 21 years old, at his absolute physiological peak, and had trained with optimal nutrition for years before Beijing. The nuggets lasted 10 days on top of years of clean nutritional infrastructure they could not meaningfully disrupt. Researchers studied elite basketball players eating high amounts of ultra-processed food and looked for a performance drop. They did not find one. A separate group of trained athletes showed no measurable difference in short-term performance. The science defends Bolt. 10 days at 21 on top of years of disciplined preparation. The noise was not the signal. The long game is where the data changes. Ultra-processed food, packaged chips, energy drinks, frozen meals, breakfast cereals with added sugar, instant noodles, protein bars with 30 ingredients. Is anything engineered in a factory with ingredients a home kitchen would not stock? A large national health study tracking thousands of adults found that the more ultra-processed food people ate, the less muscle mass they carried, tracing the mechanism directly to the gut. Chronic ultra-processed food punches holes in the gut lining, lets inflammatory compounds leak into the bloodstream, and keeps the immune system in a low-grade state of alarm that interferes with muscle repair. A study from McMaster University followed 6,000 adults and found those effects did not disappear when researchers accounted for how much those people exercised. Your body will run on junk food, the same way a high-performance engine will run on the wrong grade of gasoline. It moves, but it is working against a background of inflammation it would not otherwise be managing, and that cost compounds across a season in recovery speed, injury frequency, and the gap between what you trained for and what you produced. This is you if your training is consistent, but you need more recovery days than your program calls for, get injured at a rate that does not match your training load, or perform well in sessions and underperform in competition. That gap is where chronic inflammation shows up most clearly. Bolt's nuggets proved that a 21-year-old at physiological peak can absorb 10 days of fast food without losing 3 gold medals. The exception is not the instruction. For the hybrid athletes in this audience, people who lift and run, who train strength and endurance in the same week, most elite athletes cycle between these systems. LeBron used keto as a seasonal reset and returned to a mixed diet. Pogačar's off-season plate looks nothing like his Tour de France plate. The fuel system that serves your current training block is not a lifetime commitment. It is a tool. There is no best diet. There is only the right fuel system for the right engine. I am Noah, and I'll see you in the next video.